Hello and welcome back to another Saturday here at Coriander Quilts. I'm happy to have all of you joining me today. I am refolding this because it wasn't looking so cute on my table. I'm going to be talking about this quilt, Plentiful Stars, a little bit later in today's video. I've got all kinds of fun things planned for us. It's kind of a little bit of a show and tell. I've got a lot of works in progress to share with you. We have our next number for our September works in progress. I'll let you know how I did in August. A new $5 pattern. It's just all kinds of things. I'm just looking at my table here, all kinds of things to share with everybody today. So thank you so much for joining me and stick around. Well, first of all, welcome back. I took a bit of an impromptu Saturday off last week. We ended up having a really busy week, and I had every intention of filming last week, and then it rolled around and I just was not up for the task. And so we took a weekend off, which was really nice. We had a nice long Labor Day weekend. We had company over every night, every day over the weekend. We had friends with us Friday night, and then we had out of town company stay with us Saturday through Monday. They left Monday around noon, and then we had family over Monday evening. So it was jam-packed and it was a good weekend, but no filming happened, that's for sure. So I've got extra to share this week because I have the things I would have shared last week, plus all the goodies that I get to share this week. We're gonna start off with some of our viewer quilts that were sent in. First up, from Deborah H. She sent in a quilt that used a bit of peachy keen fabric, and she said, I love this fabric, and used some in a quilt for my granddaughter. And you can see in that photo she has a bit of peachy keen scattered throughout. And I thought this was just a great time to mention that when you are picking and choosing fabrics, sometimes you see those prints that you want to use, but you know you've got a lot of stash fabric you want to use too. So you can choose some of those splashier florals and bring in some prints that coordinate from your stash and end up with a beautiful quilt without breaking the bank. So I thought that was a great example that Deborah sent in for us to kind of tuck that little bit of information back in our heads, because that turned out so pretty with just those little splashes of peachy keen mixed throughout that quilt. Kelly D sent in 2 quilt photos, and she said, I have attached 2 quilt tops I have completed. Barnstar 1 I made with my staff fabrics, and Cuddle Up Sampler made with Starberry fabrics. Thank you so much. I am currently working on the 2025 Callie & Co. Mystery Block of the Month and loving the blocks and fabric. Those both turned out so pretty, Kelly, and I'm so happy to have you joining in on that mystery block of the month. Those are so fun to host. I've been having fun sewing up my Callie & Co. blocks too, and every time I pull out one of the Tilda blocks that I made last year, I am reminded of how much I love those Tilda fabrics. Speaking of Tilda, I had mentioned 2 weeks ago, I think it was, about the new Tilda fabrics coming out into stores. They are now in stores. I am still holding strong, not purchasing those beautiful Christmas fabrics, but they are so pretty. So I'll keep you updated if I give in or if I hold strong. The last photos were sent in by Melissa R. She sent in 3 photos. She says, I used my stash for the first 2 quilts and obviously Buttercup and Slate for the other. I can't seem to make a quilt that doesn't have blue in it unless I buy pre-cuts. They didn't make a dent in my scrap stash at all. Love to see sisters working together so well. I would likely strangle mine or vice versa. Love Cori fabrics and patterns. Thank you both for being so responsive. I'm sure it seems an impossible task sometimes. Those all turned out so pretty. I especially like the blue color, that almost cornflower blue that you chose for your accent fabric in your Scrappy Irish chain quilt. That is so pretty. And then, of course, it's always fun to see the sampler quilts we made during our Oh Happy Day sampler quilt along. So those are so nice to see. And I will tell you, Nicole is very easy to work with. I don't know that we ever have too much fuss. I don't know if, I guess I can't say if she feels the same way.
I feel the same way.
She feels the same way? Yeah. Great. I feel like she's very easy to work with. I think we probably both tend to have a fairly laid-back personality. She probably has more of a laid-back personality than I do, because I tend to get a little bit focused on details sometimes and need to have things done a certain way, but she just kind of rolls with it. She just does her thing, and it's very easy to work with her. So definitely not an issue at all. Okay, two more photos that I want to share today. I was working on something last week. I don't remember what it was. I've had so many different projects going on kind of all at the same time. And every now and then I will be working on something. I'll get an idea in my head and I just immediately must go and see what it looks like, whatever I am thinking about at that moment. So I think I was sewing and I thought, hey, I wonder how that autumnal quilt pattern I have would look in a bloom fabrics. So I think when we see a bloom, can I pull this over? A bloom, there she is, tucked behind this quilt right there. So these are bloom fabrics. I tend to look at those and think spring, you know, it's got the birds, the birdhouses, the flowers. The gray brings it down to a little bit of a fall-y vibe, but overall I feel those fabrics read very spring, at least in my mind. But as you heard me say, the grays bring it a little bit fallish, and depending on the fabrics that you pick and choose, you can really change the feel of a fabric line. So I was thinking about my autumnal quilt pattern, which is one I designed for Cozy Up, which was a very fall-themed fabric line, and it has pumpkins and stars, and I thought, you know, if I would use just a few of those bloom fabrics, I think we could make a beautiful fall quilt. So I mocked up two different versions of my autumnal pattern. This is a free quilt pattern, so I'll make sure and link to it. I mocked up two versions, one using greens and one using, well, greens and corals, and one using grays and corals. I'm going to have Ryan put both of those up here in this video so you can see what those look like. But it makes a really beautiful fall quilt. And so if any of you are looking for a pattern to use with your bloom fabrics, or maybe you're looking for a fun fall/autumn quilt project, maybe this is one that strikes your fancy. So this is what it looks like in more of a limited color palette. It can also be done really scrappy. So it's a very versatile pattern, but I thought it turned out so pretty using those bloom fabrics. It's very sort of a florally autumn foliage look when you use those fabrics. So I wanted to share that with you as well. We are now going to move into our $5 pattern for September. Again, we have rolled right into a new month, almost without even trying to do so. It has just poked its way in. So we are in September, which means we have a new $5 pattern. And I just mentioned Cozy Up fabrics. Well, this quilt was originally made using Cozy Up. The name of this pattern is Everlasting. I'm going to hold it up here for you. It's a big one, so you're not going to be able to see quite the whole thing. But over in my Etsy shop, I do have more images of this quilt so that you can see it better. And it is a checkerboard, star-filled quilt. I'm going to give you pattern information here in just a bit, but you can see what this quilt looks like. And I just love it for fall. My cutting board is all covered up here. Let's see how much of this I can show you here without having to move things around too much. Slide you back, slide things around just a little bit. And I can link to the video where I shared all of my Cozy Up quilts. And in that video, you can see this one, plus all of the others I designed for Cozy Up much better. But this gives you at least a little bit of a close-up view here in this video of this quilt. So this is Everlasting, and that is what she looks like, at least a little bit. So let me talk about this pattern here. Everlasting finishes at 74 by 92. It's a fat quarter quilt. It uses 20 fat quarters, and then you need some yardage to make that checkerboard portion of the quilt, binding, backing, and batting. So $5 in the Etsy shop. There are paper versions as well as PDF versions. I am also going to mock up this pattern over on my blog in some different fabric lines. I'm going to do at least one because I want to see what this looks like in Christmas. I think it will be really cute. I can just picture the red in place of the blue here for that checkerboard in the background, and then just red and green stars I think would be really pretty. Or maybe I'm going to play around a little bit. I can just picture it being really pretty in Christmas fabric. So I want to try that and see what that looks like. Now, earlier this week, the CorianderQuilts.com website was running slow. I don't know if it's still going to be running slow today. I'm hoping that it's just a problem that fixes itself and that I don't need to fuss with at all. You heard me say a couple weeks ago that I was making some changes and I had hoped everything would just sort of ease into place without too much thought or effort on my part. It took a lot of thought and effort on my part, so I was hopeful that that part was done. So we'll see. I'm hoping it works okay today when you go visit to look at the mock-ups of this pattern, but if it's running slow, I was still able to get there. It was just slow, and it wasn't always slow, just occasionally slow. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's just amazing and perfect and no issues, but that doesn't always go that way, does it? But I will also link over to the Etsy shop where you can purchase the pattern for $5 through the end of September. It will be $5 in both PDF and paper versions. All right, what do we want to talk about next? It's just from here on out going to be very works in progress. I've had a lot going on. I've still been trying to finish up various little odds and ends here and there of some different things I've had going on. But at the same time, we are getting almost ready to start talking about new fabric. I think by the end of this month, I get to share new fabric with you. So that means there's a lot of tying up things that need to happen before I can share that collection with you. So that's been happening in the background, and I can't really share or talk too much about that. But I have a lot of things that I can talk about. Let's talk about this Plentiful Stars quilt. In the last video, I chatted more about the In the Garden collector's bin that is coming out when In the Garden fabrics come out. Those fabrics come out soon as well, later this fall. And the collector's bin, well, you can go back and watch the previous video, but it's a bin that's exclusive to In the Garden. It has an exclusive pattern and then all kinds of other fun goodies that I got to put together for that bin. But I just finished up this quilt. Actually, as of the filming of this video, I finished it yesterday, and I think it turned out so cute. So this is the exclusive pattern. It's only available in that collector's bin. This pattern is not available anywhere else, but it's the pattern that I designed for the bin. And it's just this cute little star quilt using In the Garden fabrics. It uses a special pre-cut that is also only available in the bin. So just a fun little project all around. This is what she looks like. Here's a little corner. I love this little sketchy print fabric. I always like these when I include them in a fabric line because they're so versatile for backgrounds when you want just a little bit of something. They give a little bit more than my white on whites, but not as much as a full-fledged colorful print would give in your background. So I always love those in the background. And then the stars were just so much fun to piece. They're just adorable and small. You can see the size of them. They finish at 6 inches. So just little star blocks. And it's just a happy little quilt. So there it is. A little bit of snippet of this project. I'll hold it up one more time so you can see it a little bit better back here. I should have just cleared my cutting table off and brought things in one at a time rather than having it so full to start with. Then I could show things on the cutting table more. But that's okay. This works too. So this is Plentiful Stars. That collector's bin will be in quilt shops when In the Garden fabrics ship. So you can check with your favorite shop to see if this is a product that they'll be carrying. And if not, there would be online quilt shops that you could purchase from as well. And the goodies in the bin are a surprise. You get to see the quilt, but I think everything else is going to be a surprise. So you just have to wait and see what's in there. All right, so that is a finish. I just need to get that sent off to be quilted. I have to decide on the quilting on that one. I have no idea. I haven't even thought at all about how I want to have that quilted, so I'll have to start thinking about that. Sometimes that goes great and sometimes that takes a while. The quilts that I'm sending out for my new fabric collection, the one I just mentioned a little bit ago, not In the Garden, but the next one after that, those quilts are just giving me a little bit of a fuss choosing the quilting design. So they're not going as smoothly as they do sometimes. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I can nail down my choices and get those sent out here real soon as well. All right, let's talk Moda Blockheads. I worked a lot on my Moda Blockheads blocks. I actually have all of my blocks done. I can't show them all because not all the patterns have come out yet, but I've got them all done. So that means now as they are released, I can just share them. I am not making nearly all of the remaining Moda Blockheads blocks that are coming out. I think I only needed 13 total because I needed 12 of my alternates. These are my alternate blocks, so I only needed 25 total, and of those 25, only 13 of the ones that are coming out every Wednesday. So I've completed as many as I need. I've made all of my alternate blocks, so I will continue sharing them as they are released, and then I'll be ready to sew everything together. But I couldn't remember which ones of my alternates I had shared. So I'm just going to show all of them to you here in this video, and then going forward, I just need to share the actual Moda Blockheads blocks as they release. So these are all of the alternate blocks that I made using the Bloom panel. And I think these are just so soft and pretty. And so easy. This is just such an easy way to add something special to your quilt without having to do a lot of extra sewing. Sometimes those alternate blocks, they look amazing and we love them, but sometimes they do add a lot of time onto our project. So I was really happy to have something quick and easy that doesn't take a lot of time, but it adds a lot. These panels are so nice to add to a quilt. These are the Bloom panels. I did not stitch on them. I'm not stitching on them for this project. You certainly can, but I chose not to for these, and that is all of them. So that is all that I needed for my alternates. And I have over on my blog the measurements that I used to bring these to 9.5 inches, which is the same size as the Moda Blockheads blocks that I'm making. So I can link to that blog post where I shared that information should you want to do something similar to what I am doing. And then I have 3 blocks to share with you today. So first up, and I'll link to these patterns too. If you're not familiar with Moda Blockheads, it is a free pattern. Right now, the blocks are coming out every month. There are multiple setting options. Some of the designers do their own thing. Moda releases setting options. So it's more of a choose your own adventure quilt along than some quilt alongs are, because you can really go any number of directions with your blocks. But the blocks come out every Wednesday. You can choose to make them or not choose to make them and put your quilt blocks together however you want. The 3 that I need to share are this first one. This was the Camille Roskelly block called Carousel Waltz. So this is my version. All of my fabrics are a Bloom. So there's that one. Next up, I made Betsy Chutchin's block called Toadstool Twist. And this is my version of that one. And then someone had asked if I was going to make Janet Claire's block. This one was actually block number 10. So it came out a little while ago, a few weeks ago, and I realized I hadn't made that one. I don't know if I was just planning not to make it or if it had just slipped my mind, but I went back and I made that one too. So this is my What a Lark block by Janet Claire. So those are the new 3 additions that I can share. And I am, all caught up and even ahead of where I need to be for this project. So that's always a good feeling. Sometimes it seems like I just get so far behind when I have a bunch of other things going on. And then all of a sudden I get a chance to catch up on all the things. So that's kind of what was happening over the last week. I also had a chance to work on my designer mystery just block, not blocks. I started on block 1. So this is a project I'm still a little bit behind on, but at least I got a chance to make some progress. So the designer mystery is a quilt along hosted by Fat Quarter Shop. This is a paid program, and these are monthly blocks that are mailed out to you, and then they also offer backing kits and setting kits for this quilt along as well. It happens every year. It usually starts kind of the beginning of the summer or so, lasts for a year, and then they come out with a new collection, all new blocks, all new setting, and you can make another quilt if you want to. So this is the 2025 quilt. It uses a Bloom fabric, and so I am starting out with block 1, which just happens to be the block that I designed for this quilt along. I have all of my pieces cut out And so now I can just take it over to my sewing machine and get to sewing. I thought I would share the next couple blocks too. So if you are sewing along and you don't want to see blocks 2 and 3, they've been out for a while, so I imagine most of you have seen them, but if you don't want to see them, you can just fast forward a little bit here. But the next block is block number 2, Stars Align. This is by Joanna of Fig Tree Quilts, so that'll be the next one that I need to make. And I really like the way Fat Quarter Shop puts together their kits. They're just put together so nicely. It makes it really easy just to jump in, understand the instructions, knowing you're going to have plenty of fabric, and just cut and sew without a lot of thought. So I really appreciate that. That's block 2, and then block 3 is Robin Pickens. It's called Ray of Sunshine. So that will be the next one. I'm just going to sew them together in order. I know I had shared the backing fabric on here, which is the 108-inch wide print in that main floral from my A Bloom collection. So that's my backing. But I did not share, I don't think, the setting. I also purchased the setting, so I thought I would just show you guys this as well, because I am going to be using this setting kit to put together my blocks. It's a quilt along where you can make the blocks and you can choose to set them however you want to, but Fat Quarter Shop does offer the setting instructions and kit as well. So if you want to follow along with that, you can. So this is the box. It's a magnetic box, which makes it really nice. And I noticed, I was looking at this today, it has an apricot strudel recipe on the back, which I thought was just adorable. I hadn't seen that until today when I was getting this kit out of the box, and I thought, oh my goodness, that is such a neat little cute addition to this box. This is just a quilt label that you can add to your quilt when you're done. And then in the box here, we have everything we need for the finishing for the quilt top. So a whole big bundle of fabric, all kinds of goodies in there. Border fabric, piecing fabric. I will wait to open this until I need it so that I know it's all together where I want it to be. They include a pack of the square and a square paper in this little kit, so that makes it really nice. If you wanted to use that for your piecing, you could. But just really nice, nicely put together kit that I think will make finishing this project so nice. So that is that. Let's just move you all to the side. I oftentimes will put my pieces on a ruler to transport from my cutting table. I have design boards, but I usually have rulers in closer proximity. So I will grab a big square ruler, set my pieces on there, take them over to my sewing machine, and away I go. Last thing I want to share today is my work in progress from August, and I have made some progress. I didn't make all the progress, but this has taken me longer than I thought that it might. So you remember I had thrifted and a little pincushion rocking chair. You can go back and look at this in the works in progress video from August, but I had thrifted it. It was dark brown. It had these fabrics on it for the cushion part where you would poke your pins in. And actually, it's kind of funny. You can easily see, since I've taken this apart, what the fabric used to look like versus what the fabric looks like now, which is kind of fun. You can see it's really faded out quite a bit. So that is, there you go. There's your side-by-side of what it looked like new and what it now looks like. So I first began and I took off these cushions. They were just glued to the bottom and to the back of the rocking chair, took those off, and then started painting everything white. And this is where things have been taking a while. I think I probably have at least 5 or 6 coats of paint on this rocking chair. My bottom is not done yet. You can see, well, I think you can see, yeah, there you go. I still need a few more coats here and on the bottom of the rockers here. It's just taken so many coats of paint. I have also successfully made so my drawer doesn't work because the paint was so thick that it barely slid in, and I just decided I'm just going to slide it in. It's going to become decorative rather than functional, and that is just fine. So my drawer no longer works. It still needs a few more coats of paint, and then I still need to reupholster my little pieces here. I am just going to, I had thought I was going to take everything off, but it is kind of old and it sort of starts to disintegrate a little bit when I pull things apart. So I'm just going to leave my fabric on and just hot glue new fabric to this. And then hot glue everything back together onto my rocker. And then I'll be able to use it for its intended purpose of a pincushion, but it's just taking me longer. I'm getting there. I don't know how much time I've already spent on it. Quite a bit of time. I just left this up on my kitchen island, and then if I had time, I could put a quick coat of paint on it, and then I could do something in the kitchen, let it dry for a while, and then come back to it and paint it again, but it still needs just a little bit more. We're getting there. And progress is progress. So anyhow, oh, it would be even cute with that fabric, wouldn't it? That looks nice with the white. I definitely like the white a lot better than I liked the dark brown, but it's just not quite done. All right, that's status for this. How did you guys do on your August works in progress? Did you make progress, not make progress? It doesn't really matter. It's for fun. So if we make progress, we do, and if we don't, we don't, and that's just fine too. We're gonna see what happens here in September. I will draw out my next number. We only have 4 more to go. This year is cruising right on by. I don't know how many people I've talked to this summer that just say this summer went so fast, and I'm in that same camp where the summer is just going fast. And we've had cold weather here in Ohio. Actually, I think if I'm seeing the forecast right, today when this video goes up, it's probably going to be kind of chilly, and I'm not ready for that yet. I'm still happily living in my 90-degree weather. So I like this. The temperatures are nice. I like being able to have the windows open and the breeze and a little bit cooler. You can wear the sweatshirts, which is fun, but not ready to give up my hot days just yet. Mostly because I know that after the hot days leave, we get the snow and the gray and the cold that Ohio is notorious for, and that is especially what I'm not ready for. It's not that I don't like fall, I just don't like what comes next. I used to love snow. I loved it because, well, and I still like it, but it was so much fun when the girls were young in elementary school and you had snow days. So I just always eagerly anticipated snow days because that meant a cozy day at home. And now we're no longer in that stage of life, so the snow days don't happen. And so now it's just cold and snowy and wet and gray. I think that's what I don't particularly care for. If it would just last from like Thanksgiving to Christmas, that would be really nice. But this nonsense where winter starts rolling in October, and sometimes we see snowflakes and it lasts all the way till April, and sometimes even snow the end of April into May, like that is not my favorite. So if we could just do a shortened, condensed version of winter, that would make me happy. Now I know some of you are snow lovers, so if that's you, that's fantastic. It's beautiful and pretty and fun in its own way. But I do love a warmer day. Okay, let's choose my number. It is going to be number 9. Number 9 says, let go of a project you aren't excited to finish. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about this one. I don't even have a project I can pull right this minute and say, hey, we're gonna let this one go. I'm gonna have to think about this, what project it is that I'm gonna let go. And if you've been here for any length of time, you know how this goes. I pick out a project I don't wanna finish and I give it away here. And so come back next week. I will pick out what project I want to let go, and then it will be up for grabs. So number 9, whatever your number 9 is going to be your project for September. And I just have to figure out what project I'm going to be letting go. I'm not sure. Nothing even pops into my mind. So we'll see what that is. I'll let you know next week, and then that project will be up for grabs. Okay? That wraps up everything I have to share for today. If you have questions, be sure to leave them for me below. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will catch you again next time.